Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome to Soulful Saturdays with Saylor. Around here, we cut through the noise, ditch the fluff, and dive straight into what matters: spiritual wellness, radical self acceptance, and unapologetic soulful living. Each week, I'll bring you truth with a side of sass, reflections that wake you up, and reminders that you are glorious. So, whether you've got your journal, your coffee, or that wild, messy bun, you are exactly where you need to be. So, let's get clear about something right now. You didn't fall off. No, you're not doing that story. Not today. You didn't lose your magic. You know that thing about you, that spark, the presence, that something people can't quite put their finger on? Yeah, that didn't disappear. And you definitely did not suddenly become less than. So let's just set all of that down. What actually happened? You got quiet. Not because you had nothing to say, not because life got loud. Responsibilities got louder. Other people's needs got louder. Expectations, well, they got real loud. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, your voice just started to fade into the background. Not on purpose, not because you didn't matter, but because it felt easier. Easier to just go along, easier to not rock the boat, easier to be who everyone needed you to be instead of who you actually are. And let's be honest for a second. There were moments where being you felt like too much for other people, too bold, too emotional, too honest, too expressive, too something. So, what did you do? You adjusted. You tucked it in and you hid. You softened your voice just enough to be more acceptable. You dimmed your light, not all the way, just enough so it wouldn't make anyone uncomfortable. hmm And I want you to hear me with so much love when I say this. You weren't shrinking because you were weak. You were adapting because you were aware. You felt the room. You read the energy. You learned what was okay and what wasn't. That took intelligence. That took emotional awareness. And here's the part that we don't always realize. What helped you belong back then might be the very thing holding you back now. Because that quieter version of you, she served a purpose. And she's not the whole of who you are. And she was never meant to be permanent. So if you've been sitting there wondering, what happened to me? Where did I go? Why don't I feel like myself anymore? Let me answer that for you. Real simple. You're still here. Every bit of you. The bold parts, the soft parts, the curious, expressive, slightly sassy, deeply feeling parts. They didn't go anywhere. They just went quiet. And hear me when I say this, because this is the truth that's going to shift everything. Quiet is not dead. Quiet is waiting, waiting for a moment that feels safe enough, waiting for a version of you that's ready to show back up, waiting for permission that you don't actually need anymore. So, no, you didn't fall off. You paused your expression in a season that required it. And this right here, this is a new season. And something in you is starting to stir again, isn't it? But that little nudge, that quiet voice saying, there's more. Yeah, that's not random. That's you. Still there, still ready, still becoming. And we're about to let her speak again. And this is where it gets real. Not surface level, not cute quotes. I'm talking about the stuff that sits in your chest a little heavy if you let it in. Because this right here, this is the struggle behind the silence. So let's start with this one. Maybe playing small to keep the peace. You already know. This is when you bite your tongue instead of saying what you really feel. When you go along with something just to avoid the tension. When you shrink your needs, your opinion, your truth, just so everything stays nice. And let me ask you something gently. Whose peace are you actually keeping? Because it's usually not yours. It's everyone else's comfort at the cost of your expression. And after a while, that starts to feel like resentment, like exhaustion, like I don't even recognize myself in the room anymore. Yeah. And then we slide right into the next one. Overthinking every single move before you make it. You don't just do something, you analyze it, you replay it, you rehearse it in your head 14 different ways. If I say it like this, how will they take it? If I show up like that, what will they think? What if I get it wrong? Yeah, that is a lot. And it feels like you're being careful, but really, you're being contained. Because overthinking is just fear, just dressed up as preparation. It keeps you stuck in your head instead of letting you live in your life. And then there's that quiet question that sneaks in when you least expect it. Is it too late for me? Yeah. And I feel that one because you start looking around, seeing people stepping into their thing, finding their voice, blooming out loud. And you're sitting there thinking, did I miss my moment? Oh my God, should I have started sooner? Maybe that chapter, well, it just passed me by. So let me stop you right there. Those thoughts, they're not truth. It's fear trying to convince you to stay where you are because there's no timeline on becoming who you're meant to be. No, none. And finally, this one we don't always say out loud. Watching others bloom while you question yourself. Oh, yes, you're happy for them. Of course you are. You're clapping, you're cheering, you're saying all the right things. And there's this small, quiet part of you that whispers, why not me? And instead of letting that question open you, you let it shrink you. You compare, you doubt, you start picking yourself apart in ways that you would never do to someone you love. And my beautiful soul, that's the moment you need to interrupt because their blooming is not proof that you're behind. It's proof of what is possible. When you're stuck in self-questioning, you don't see possibility. You see the distance. So let me bring this all together for you, heart to heart. Playing small, overthinking, questioning your timing, comparing your journey, None of that means that you're incapable. It means you've been protecting yourself in ways that are no longer serving you. And that beautiful thing, that moment, you can see it, is the moment that you can start shifting it. You're not stuck. You're just standing at the edge of your own next level, deciding if you're ready to step into it. And oh, you're getting ready. Yes, you're getting ready to step into it. And this is the moment everything starts to shift. Because up until now, we've been looking at it like something went wrong, like you missed a step, like you fell behind. Like somehow life kept moving and you didn't. And let me lovingly interrupt that whole story. You are not behind. So say that with me. Because I want it to land in your bones a little different this time. You are not behind. Feel it. That feels different because behind feels like you lost something, right? You're not behind. You're never quite caught up. But that means it's still in you, still there, still alive, still waiting. Nothing's missing, nothing's gone. It just hasn't been given permission to come out and play yet. And when you start to see it that way, everything softens. The pressure lifts, the panic quiets, the comparison starts to loosen its grip because now you're not trying to catch up. You're allowing yourself to open up. There's a big difference. So let's talk about this part. Growth didn't stop, expression did. Because I know it might not look like it on the outside. Maybe you haven't made the big moves yet. Maybe you haven't said the things, started the thing, become the version you keep picturing in your mind. But don't get it twisted. You've been growing this whole time. Every hard moment, growth. Every lesson you didn't ask for, growth. Every time you choose to keep going when it would have been easier to shut down, growth. You've been evolving in ways nobody could see, internally, quietly, deeply. Your awareness expanded, your standards shifted, your understanding of yourself got clearer. That is growth. And expression, that's the part where it gets visible. That's the part where you let the inside match the outside. And somewhere along the way, you paused that part. Not because you weren't ready to grow, but because it didn't feel safe to be seen in it. And listen, I want to honor that. You didn't just randomly hold yourself back. There were reasons, moments, experiences, environments, places where you felt like maybe I should just keep this to myself. So you did. And here's where we gently, lovingly pivot. What if it's safe now? Not because the world suddenly changed, but because you did. What if you're stronger now, wiser now, more grounded in who you are now? What if the version of you sitting here today can handle being seen in a way the past version couldn't? Sit with that. Because blooming isn't becoming someone new. And I know the world will try to sell you that story. Reinvent yourself, become a whole new, fix this, change that, upgrade everything. No, that's exhausting. And honestly, it's not the truth. Blooming is revealing who you've always been. It's the uncovering, the unfolding, the, oh, there I am moment. It's you taking off the layers that were never really you to begin with. The people pleasing layer, the overthinking layer, the stay quiet, stay safe layer. And underneath all of that, there you are, the real you, the expressive you, the bold you, the thoughtful, deep, funny, honest, maybe a little sassy you. She's not new. She's been there, waiting. And I want you to picture this for a second. Think about a flower. That flower doesn't go out and become something else when it blooms. It doesn't wake up and say, I think I'll be a rose instead of who I am. No, it simply opens, petal by petal, at its own pace, in its own timing, revealing what was already there all along. That's you. You're not late. You're not behind. You're not missing anything. You're in the process of opening. And here's the part I really want you to take with you. You don't have to have it all figured out in the beginning. You don't need perfect clarity. You don't need full confidence. You don't need a guarantee on how it's going to go. You just need willingness. Willingness to let one part of you be seen. Willingness to say one honest thing. Willingness to take one step that feels a little more than yesterday. That's how blooming happens. Not all at once, but in moments. Brave, tiny, powerful moments where you choose expression over hiding. And every time you do that, you expand, you connect, you remember yourself. So no more I'm behind. You are done with that story. From here on out, you're asking a better question. Where am I ready to express myself next? Because the truth is, you're not trying to become her. You're allowing her to come through. And oh, my beautiful soul, she's ready. And this is the part where we drop the filters and tell the truth like it is. Because getting quiet, that didn't just happen one random Tuesday. That was learned, that was practiced, that was reinforced over time in little moments that didn't seem like a big deal, but they added up. Somewhere along your journey, you realize, consciously or not, being fully you came with reactions, and not always the kind that felt good. Maybe it was the look. You know the one, the subtle shift in someone's face that made you go, oh, okay, maybe that was too much. Maybe it was a comment that stuck a little longer than it should have. Something that someone said casually, but it landed deep. Like, why are you so sensitive? Or maybe it was, do you always have something to say? Or it could have been, you're a lot. Yeah, those little phrases, they have a way of echoing, don't they? Or maybe it was a moment where you showed up as your full self, open, expressive, honest, and instead of being received, you felt misunderstood, judged, dismissed, or worse, ignored. And in those moments, something inside you made a decision, not loudly, not dramatically, quietly, subtle, and powerful. And it sounded like, oh, just let me tone it down so I can belong. Yeah, that one, that one right there, that wasn't weakness. That was wisdom for that moment. You were reading the room. You were protecting your heart. You were figuring out how to stay connected, how to stay included, how to stay safe. You adapted. You adjusted. You became who you needed to be to navigate the spaces you were in. And I want you to pause here and honor that version of you because she wasn't doing the best, because she was doing the best that she could with what she knew. She wasn't trying to betray you, she was trying to protect you. And here's the truth that we're stepping into now. And I'm going to say it gently, and I'm not going to water it down. What once protected you is now limiting you. Yeah. That strategy that kept you safe, it's now keeping you small. That filter you created so you wouldn't be judged, it's now blocking your expression. And my beautiful soul, you can feel that, can't you? That little tension inside you that that you don't know what you really mean. That little tension inside you that you don't say what you really mean. That heaviness after you leave a room where you weren't fully yourself. The quiet frustration of knowing there's more in you, but it's not coming out. That's not random. That's the cost of staying hidden. So let me ask you something. And I really want this to sit with you. I just don't want you to hear it. I want you to feel it. Where in your life are you still asking permission to be yourself? Is it at work? In your relationships? On social media? In your home? Where are you editing yourself before you even open your mouth? Where are you rehearsing instead of just speaking? Where are you holding back your truth because you're trying to predict someone else's reaction? Because that hesitation right there, that pause, that should I or shouldn't I, that's not you being unsure. That's conditioning. That's years of learning what's acceptable and what might cost you connection. And here's the shift. You're not in those same spaces anymore. And even if you are, you're not the same woman anymore. You've grown. You've seen things. You understand yourself on a deeper level now. So the question becomes, are you still going to let an old version of you run the show in a new season of your life? Because the world does not need a quieter version of you. So let's put that out there real clear. It doesn't need the version of you that tiptoes around everyone else's comfort. It doesn't need the version that filters every thought to make sure it lands just right. It doesn't need the, I hope this doesn't bother anyone energy. No, it needs the real you, the one that feels alive in her own skin, the one that has thoughts, ideas, opinions, and yes, even edges, the one that laughs a little louder, speaks a little freer, shows up a little more boldly. And listen, I know what's coming up right now because I've been there too. What will people think? What if I say the wrong thing? What if I outgrow people? What if I'm not received the way I hope to be? Let me give you a little Sailor sassy truth. You ready? Some people will not recognize you when you start showing up fully. They won't because they've only known the edited version of you. They've only experienced the quiet, agreeable, go with the flow version. So when you start speaking up, when you start choosing yourself, when you start expressing what's really on your mind, it might feel unfamiliar to you and to them. And sometimes they may not like it. And I'm going to say something that might feel a little bold, but you can handle it. I know you can. That doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're real. And here's the deep truth. You are not here to be recognized by everyone. You are here to be realized by yourself. Let that sink in. Because chasing recognition will keep you performing. But choosing realization, that brings you home. Home to your voice, home to your truth, home to that version of you that doesn't need to ask, is this okay? Because she shows up. So no, you didn't stop growing, not for a second. You just paused your expression to survive a season that required it. And there's no shame in that. So this season, this is not survival season. This is expression season. This is the season where you stop dimming and start allowing, where you stop editing and start expressing, where you stop waiting for permission and start giving it to yourself. And I know it might not happen all at once. That's okay. It's not about flipping a switch overnight. It's about moments, small, brave, honest moments where you choose to show up just a little more as you. You say the thing, you share the thought, you take up a little more space than you did yesterday. And each time you do, you build trust with yourself. You remember yourself. I'm safe to be me now. And that, my beautiful soul, that's where everything begins to change. So if something in you has been stirring, if you've been feeling that quiet nudge, that pull, that there's more in me than this feeling, trust it. That's not random. That's you waking back up. That's your voice saying, I'm ready. That's your spirit stretching, reaching, expanding, because it knows something you might still be catching up to. You're not too much. You're not too late. You're not too anything. You're right on time for your own unfolding. So no, you didn't stop growing. You just got quiet long enough to gather yourself. And now it's time to open. Now it's time to express. Now it's time to let yourself be seen, even if your voice shakes a little at first. Because this season right here, this is where you bloom. This is the part where everything starts to turn, not in a loud, dramatic way, but in a quiet, powerful, I see it now kind of way. So here's where you flip it gently. And make no mistake, this is powerful. Because until now, that question has been sitting in the background, hasn't it? Is it too late for me? And it sounds innocent, almost logical. But that question is a trap because it keeps your voice on time, on what didn't happen, on everything that you think you missed. And when you stay there, you hesitate, you hold back, you convince yourself to stay exactly where you are. So we're not asking that question anymore. We're upgrading it. What part of me is ready to be expressed now? Mm-hmm. What part of me is ready to be expressed now? Feel that shift. That question doesn't look backwards. It brings you right here into this moment. And it assumes something powerful, that there is something in you ready. Not someday, not when you figure it all out, not when you feel more confident. Now, there is a part of you right now that is ready to be seen. Maybe it's your voice. Maybe it's your opinion. Maybe it's your creativity, your softness, your boldness, your truth. Something in you is like, okay, I'm ready, even if it's just a little. And that's all we need. Because blooming, it doesn't require permission. You don't need approval. You don't need a green light from the outside world. You don't need everyone to understand it at first. It requires willingness. That's it. Willingness to be seen before you feel ready. Because let's be honest, you might never feel ready in the way that you think you should. There might always be a little voice saying, wait, not yet. Ooh, fix this first. Or think about it more. But if you wait for perfect readiness, you'll be waiting forever. So we move anyway. Willingness to speak before it's perfectly worded. Not every sentence needs to be polished. Not every thought needs to be wrapped up in a bow. Sometimes it's just about being real, honest, present, a little messy, maybe, but true. Yeah, just a little messy, and maybe it's all about the truth. That's what connects. Willingness to show up before you feel fully confident. Because let me lovingly bust this myth wide open. Confident doesn't come first. Expression does. Confidence is the result, not the requirement. You don't wake up one day overflowing with confidence and then decide to show up. No, you show up a little unsure, a little wobbly, and that's how confidence is built. One moment at a time, one choice at a time, one I'm doing this anyway at a time. And every time you choose to express just a little, you speak up when you normally would have stayed quiet. You share something instead of overthinking it. You let yourself be seen in a way that you used to hide. You send a message to yourself, not to the world. No, to yourself. And it states this: I'm safe to be me. Yes, that message, that's everything. Because once you start believing that, once your nervous system starts to feel that, once your mind starts to catch up to that truth, you don't need as much external validation. You don't need to keep checking the room before you enter it. You start to trust yourself. And that's the shift. Not becoming someone new, not fixing yourself, not upgrading into some better version. No, it's coming home, back to your voice, back to your truth, back to the part of you that's been waiting so patiently to be expressed. And you don't have to do it all in one day. You don't have to bloom overnight. Just one moment, one choice, one brave little this feels like me step. That's how you return to yourself. That's how you begin again. And you're ready. You are already on your way. So here is your soulful nudge. And no, this is not a shove. not a life overhaul, not a go fix everything by Monday kind of energy. This week, I don't want you trying to bloom all at once. No overwhelm, no pressure, no dramatic reinvention today. Nope. We're keeping this grounded, gentle, but powerful. Just one moment, one choice, one expression. That's it. And don't underestimate how big that actually is. Because maybe that one moment looks like you saying what you really feel instead of what keeps you comfortable. Maybe it's posting that thing that's been sitting in your drafts because you've been overthinking every word. Maybe it's wearing something that feels like you, not the safe version, not the blend in version, but the one that makes you feel a little more alive. Or maybe it's simply letting yourself take up space, letting your laugh be loud, letting your opinion be heard, letting your presence be felt without shrinking it down. And I want you to catch this because this is where the magic really is. Blooming doesn't happen in one big cinematic moment. It's not one day where everything changes and suddenly you're fully expressed and fearless. It's built in tiny, brave decisions. Moments where you choose yourself just a little more than you did yesterday. And every single time you do that, you water something inside you, something that's been patient, something that hasn't gone anywhere, something that's just waiting for you to say, okay, I'm ready now. So don't rush it. You don't need to force it. You don't need to prove anything. Just begin softly, honestly, in your own way. Because you didn't stop growing, not for a second. You just went quiet for a little while. And now you're waking back up. Now your voice is finding its way back. Now your expression gets to come forward again, one moment at a time. And I'll tell you this, heart to heart, the world doesn't need a louder version of anyone else. It needs the real you. So go ahead, take that one step, say that one thing, choose that one moment, because your voice, it's ready. And this right here, this is the time to be heard. And that, my friends, is our episode on You Didn't Stop Growing, You Just Went Quiet. Thanks for tuning in, beautiful soul. Take this week to listen to the whispers and remember, your soul knows the way. And as you move through your week, carry this truth in your heart. You are worthy, you are radiant, and your presence matters. And never forget, stay soulful, stay sassy, stay you. I'll see you next Saturday, beautiful soul. Same time, same vibe, same glorious energy.